We'll chant Omkara thrice, followed by a couple of chants. Those who know those chants can join me. Take a comfortable posture. Eyes are gently closed. Take a moment to center yourself. Breathe in. Inhale. Inhale. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Slowly and gently, you may open your eyes. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangai Stushtuva Gumsastanubihi Vyashema Devahitai Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vruddhashravah Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaah Swastina Starksho Arishthanemihi Swastino Brihaspatirdadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Spiritual life requires us to do more than just reading few books, attending few classes, lectures here and there, and then just continuing regular life as it is. It doesn't really work this way. Adhyatma, or spiritual life, requires a greater commitment, a commitment to the principles laid out in Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. Today, in 2024, when you have access to this wisdom on the YouTube, on Zoom, on WhatsApp groups, and whatnot, there could be a certain casual attitude towards the whole teaching. Those who are familiar with the stories in Mahabharata, Ramayana, or Puranas, etc., know how much students have put effort to seek Adhyatma Vidya. Any Sanatana Dharmi or person born in India knows this knowledge was always only available in Himalayas. It looks as though the moment Brahma Vidya, Adhyatma Vidya, Yoga comes to one's mind, everybody somehow knows, like a compass which points out to the north. So everybody's inner compass points out towards Himalaya, towards north, towards Rishikesh, towards Varanasi. Today, just the sheer amount of content available in the realm of Vedanta also can sort of set a sense of casualness in approaching this Vidya, which was approached with great determination, great commitment, where students used to travel miles, just like all of you who have traveled miles to come here to Arshavidya Gurukulam. Students used to travel thousands of steps, kilometers, miles to seek this knowledge of self. But today it's very casually available on the YouTube. I still remember even during my days, just not too long, 2011, 2012, YouTube was not as easily accessible as we access today. You had to put a lot of effort to go buy books, collect pen drives and memory sticks from people who had teachings of Puja Swamiji in the audio forms, video forms here and there, and then seek. Today, people just consume Vedanta just like consuming another thing on the Netflix or something, YouTube. Go onto the YouTube and then switch on a lecture, have some murmura snack and a cup of chai. Swami Dayananda is talking Brahma Sutra and I am sipping chai. Wow, it had never happened in the history, but then modern life has enabled this kind of weird combinations, weird samuchaya. In fact, Puja Swamiji was very aware of this. Once he told in the satsang in Anekati, I know all of you are listening to my teachings in the living rooms, drawing rooms, cars, etc. I request not to take me into the bathrooms. So, as long as you're maintaining that much of discipline with reference to Vedanta, probably this casual listening may also do some good to us. Having said that, yes, any form of listening to Vedanta Shastra can inspire a sincere student to seek more, to dwell more into this Vidya. As you all know, our only effort in this whole exercise of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, that is, listening to the teachings of Vedanta, Shravanam, reflecting upon these teachings, Manana, Nididhyasana, internalizing it, internalizing these teachings, Nididhyasana, is the method in order to be free, the method to shed ignorance which resides in our minds. About what? About our own selves. So this whole exercise is very much important, and meanwhile, some of the secondary sadhanas, the primary sadhana is Jnanam, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Many secondary sadhanas will definitely aid in order to gain Antakarana Shuddhi or Chitta Shuddhi, meaning purity of mind, Chitta Shuddhi, and Chitta Naishchalyam, meaning calmness of inner instrument, calmness of mind, which is extremely important in this spiritual journey. This is not just an intellectual pursuit, studying some books and theorizing about jnana, theorizing about jnana and this and that. It's something very intimate, something to do with our own self. So thus, the secondary sadhanas are also very, very important, and bhakti becomes very essential on this path of Vedanta. Shri Krishna dedicates so many verses in Bhagavad Gita discussing bhakti. The Upanishads mention the word bhakti, and all our literature is filled with this path which will bring sweetness into the heart, calmness into the mind. So bhakti is this path of love, a secondary sadhana, discovering love becomes extremely important on this pursuit of self, Adhyatma Vidya. So that's the topic that I have chosen to discuss. There are many Sanskrit words indicating bhakti. So we have prema, priti, anuraga, so many other words which indicate love. And of course, bhakti being one of the most popular words which describe this path, this emotion. When you look at it at a surface level, when you look at it deeply, it becomes a sadhana. And finally, love is not an emotion, not a path. Love is but your innermost self. Love is divinity itself. Love is Bhagavan itself. Love is Ishvara itself. This path culminates in this understanding. So, everyone is seeking love. Not a being on this earth is there which is not seeking love. If you look at human life, early childhood, the child is constantly seeking mother's love. A young individual is seeking the love of another young individual. A married person is seeking the love of the spouse. And as we age, the same person starts seeking the love of children, grandchildren. At some point, if religious fervor develops in this person a little more, that person starts seeking now love of Bhagavan, love of God, bhakti, but yet the seeking for love continues. The common understanding of love, as we know, is that I consider myself as an individual, as this body, mind, sense complex, and then I seek a union, I seek a communion with a certain object or certain person which is not me. There's something outside of me, and then I seek the union of it. And if you closely observe this whole experience, which everyone is very familiar with, you are an individual, you go on seeking this object or that object. In fact, Black Friday sale, a lot of people are seeking so many objects. They're willing to browse websites for hours. Now, first thought was to stand in line. Oh, that is a little bit redundant today, I suppose. People put hours looking at websites to find the most convenient deal or the highest discount to have what? To have a union with various objects. And probably a young person is seeking union with, older example, one individual, in today's time, multiple individuals. Constantly seeking union with the other person or another object. Have you ever asked the question, why do we do this? Why do we do it? Why do we do it? Why do we constantly seek this union? Perhaps we might have not given so much thought because it's very natural in society to seek this union with objects and people. It is normal. The social phenomena operate like this. 1,000 people do something, it becomes normal. Something is extremely abnormal, But then if 1,000 people do that, it becomes normal. It's very absurd to probably go on looking at other people's life, isn't it so? Constantly what one is wearing, what hairstyle one has, which holiday the person went to. All of it is very weird to keep probing like that about other person's life. But you open up Facebook and Instagram, what do? You constantly look at other people's life. 1,000 people did it, it became normal. In fact, not 1,000, billions of people do that, and it become very normal in society. So perhaps we never questioned why we seek this union. This union of a person considering oneself to be body, mind, sense complex and seeking a union with an object, in fact, is done because one experiences certain pleasure at this union. Isn't it so? Agree or disagree? Agree? Do you all have breakfast? We have elaborate breakfast, so there should be more energy, I suppose. We all seek this union with these objects and people because this contact of person with the object or another person gives rise to certain feelings of pleasure, certain sensations which we consider to be happiness. In fact, Vedanta says, this is not happiness, this is just pleasure. This is just pleasure. Pleasure, we call it pleasure because it is temporary. It's not permanent. It's fleeting. It's there as long as the senses are in contact with the object or the person. Senses come into contact with poha, and there is a certain pleasure for some time. Senses come in contact with upma, for some time there is a certain sensation, and I mistake it to be happiness. So this seems to be a format, this seems to be the premise with which I operate. Now, because this is there and once I have experienced this, I think this is how I should go about life. So entire lifetime is spent moving from one object to another object, one person to another person, one social group to another social group, a religious person, one temple to another temple, somebody interested in spirituality, one guru to another guru, one ashram to another ashram. Alas, nobody seems to be satisfied at the end of this pursuit of union or love. The seeking and seeking, one becomes an eternal seeker. One becomes an eternal seeker. One tends to find some sort of a subtle pleasure in this seeking itself without really finding the permanent union, without really getting permanent union. You know, I often give this example in Indian context, at least in the context of tropical countries, or in summertime here too, the mosquitoes come and bite you, and then you start itching, and then, in fact, if you itch the skin now, do it, so that you'll be more awake also. In fact, it is a little bit painful, it's not something pleasurable. But when there is a mosquito bite or an insect bite and you itch, you mistake this sensation of pain itself to be a pleasure. See, that's what happens. So, this eternal seeking, all the time seeking one thing after another, or one person after another, in fact, it is painful, it's tiring. It's very, very tiring. But somehow, we have misunderstood the the whole pursuit. We have mistaken this pursuit itself to be something which is giving us pleasure. Alas, one fine day, when you look at your life, you recognize that there's so much void in one's life. No amount of things in the basements has given me any sense of satisfaction. 4 blenders, 3 Instapots, 4 mattresses, set of pots and pans, and containers need not mention. In spite of all of it, I seem to be the same person who is dry, who has this big void in one's heart. This happens because one has never recognized one's own true nature. And the Shastra, Vedanta, says one's true nature is completeness itself. When your true nature is Purnaha, you do not really require any other person or any other second thing in order to complete yourself. So unless this realization is there, this eternal seeking for love continues on and on in one's life. One gets hurt, one gets disappointed, one gets very seriously affected by this whole pursuit of love that we do. All that whole pursuit of love is done in order to find completeness within. Alas, the way we seek love in the material world never puts an end to this quest. One is highly disappointed when one introspects and looks at our life. Oh, Swamiji, we don't feel that. Why so? Because you never introspect. We never take time to introspect. So I've given you all a handout. Can somebody give it to me as well? Those who don't have can take it. So how this whole pursuit of love, when you do not understand, when you do not understand it from a spiritual point of view, which we are going to discuss next, a whole lot of energy and time is spent on the pursuit of love, yet you do not gain anything. You remain to be incomplete and all the time putting a lot of effort. So I have just written a few pointers. I'll read out a few, and then you can add a lot more. You can add a lot more. Love misunderstood becomes confusion. You're seeking love, and then seeking love from incomplete people who do not have full knowledge of it, and then you do not understand what you are trying to express, what other person is trying to express. This pursuit sometimes just creates confusion. Somebody holds so much love in one's heart towards one's own spouse or son or daughter-in-law, and then it never gets expressed, never gets spoken, and then gets into our system as regret, bitterness. A person remembers a few pleasant moments in the pursuit of love, but then it is no more there. But there is something called memory through which you remember. It gives rise to now a phenomenon called nostalgia. Then you invest a lot of love into a relationship or somebody, then it becomes a risk when it is not tested well. Sometimes people conceal love that they are seeking, and then they even deceive the other person. There is so much love that one is seeking, but that gets diverted towards various countless things in the world, and that becomes distraction. A very evident phenomenon in today's world. So you can read them through, but what we are interested in this discussion is last few. Love assumed becomes an illusion. Love assumed becomes an illusion. Whole life we assume so much from each other, from society, from life itself, which has given rise to a phenomenon called illusion. We live in our own illusory worlds, never questioning it, never testing it. Thus, we have so much of hurt and guilt because of being in this illusion. Now, what we are interested really is discovering love, revealing this love which gives rise to freedom and awakening. And through the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and Vedantic texts, we test, prove this for ourselves, not for anybody else. Thus, this love becomes discovery of truth itself. Discovery of truth itself. Now, with that foundation, let us explore this path of love. This path of love, which is called Bhakti in the Shastras. Now, what everybody is familiar with is Apara Bhakti. This path or pursuit of love towards finite things of the world. One goes on seeking finite things in the world. Thus, no doubt, this person has bhakti, this person has love, this person is on the path of love, but that love is totally directed towards limited, finite objects of the world. What one is really seeking is infinite. Infinite happiness, infinite peace, but then we don't recognize that and we invest a lot of energy into this Apara Bhakti, our whole pursuit, which is where the love is dedicated in having a communion, a union with limited objects of the world. Thus, this kind of pursuit goes on and on and on, and that we call it as materialistic pursuit. This is nothing but materialistic pursuit. So, the Sanatana Dharma, the tradition, suggests one more perspective, one more method in order to divert or concentrate our pursuit of love, our love. So what is that love? Concentrating and directing that love from limited objects of the world, now finite, you direct it towards something higher, to something higher. So that bhakti becomes our love dedicated towards God, towards Ishvara, towards Bhagavan. That becomes Apara Bhakti in this context. In this context. So, our religious life gives us perspectives, pointers, in order to Which one?
You just said for Ishvara also Apara Bhakti?
Yeah. Stay with me with the discussion. We will come to that. Yes, we'll come to that. In the Vedantic context, we now divert our bhakti, our love towards however at this stage we understand God. However we understand God. Thus, the method prescribed is to divert our energies from limited things of the world, from lower things of the world, from this or that, object A, from ice creams to this and that, divert all this energy, this love, towards something higher, towards something higher. So what is that something higher? Something higher is Saguna Ishvara. God, as you understand, as a seeker, understands. So instead of spending time, energy in various worldly pursuits, a person puts forth efforts in prayers, in rituals, in pilgrimage, in japa, in chanting. All of it is now at the first stage, at the first level, diverted towards something higher than the material world, materialistic pursuits. So, for the sake of this discussion, I introduced the term apara bhakti, meaning something higher than material world, materialistic pursuit, and diverting your love, your devotion towards Saguna Ishvara. Saguna Ishvara. Bhagavan, as we understand today. However, a commoner understands. A commoner sometimes may not have full conception of what God is. What is the Swarupa of Ishvara? But a common man knows what is the Rupa of Ishvara. As per the religious tradition that person belongs, that tradition has given a certain nama, Rupa to that Swarupa. I am introducing two words, Rupa, Swarupa. Swarupa, essential nature, Rupa, apparent nature or apparent form. So, at the first level, instead of investing so much time and efforts in materialistic pursuits, one dedicates energy towards religious pursuit. Still apara bhakti. Still apara bhakti. But then a Vedantin is interested in infinite, in Swarupa, in essential nature, not just the apparent nature. No doubt we are interested in apparent nature. A Vedantin is interested in Swarupa. Thus, he or this person graduates into the Parabhakti, that is, the path of discovering infinite. The path of love for infinite. Cultivating love for infinite. Shankaracharya, in his famous work, Sadhana Panchakam, which is a Prakarana Grantha, uses a very beautiful expression, Atmecha Vyavasiyatam. Atmecha Vyavasiyatam. So the instruction that he gives is, may you cultivate Vyavasiyatam. Vyavasiyatam means may you cultivate what? Icha, a desire, love. For what? Atma. Atmecha Vyavasiyatam. Parabhakti is discovering love for infinite. As Acharya Shankara puts it, Atmecha Vyavasiyatam, we must discover love for the self. Discover love for the self-knowledge. Just as we seem to have natural attraction, natural pull towards objects and people in the world, a question for one's introspection is, do I have same pull, same love for self-knowledge, for Atma, for my own true self, my own true self? Often when there are talks, satsangs, classes which are scheduled, so many people say, oh Swamiji, I could not come for your class yesterday. You know what, I had a marriage to attend to. I had a Shashtabda Purti to attend to. I had a 80th birthday of somebody to attend to. Nothing wrong, nothing wrong. But I'm just using this for an example. We always have a choice. We always have a choice. And the choice sometimes can be based on what we love the most or what is priority immediately, or whatever is the social requirement as per the social situation one is. One is a family person. You cannot be just attending Vedanta classes all the time at exclusion of every other social commitment. We understand how life works. But I'm stressing a point through this example that one should introspect. Do not resist introspection. Do not resist introspection. The introspection is, do I have same love that I have for the objects of the world towards the pursuit of self, towards Atma Vidya? And what is that Atma Vidya? Towards myself, towards my own self. So then one locates oneself where one is, where one is. So often people want to know, people want to ask Swamiji, or people want to ask Guru, hey Guru, can you tell me where I stand in my spiritual journey? So nobody can tell that except you, except yourself. Because you know where you stand. You know where you stand. So in choosing, there is always giving up one for another. Isn't it so? Any choice that you make is at the exclusion of something else. Anything that you gain has another back-end story to it. What is that? Loss of something else. You buy something, you have traded $100 for that object. No gain is absolute, no loss is absolute. So every gain has a loss on the other side. So every choice comes at the exclusion of something else. So we must constantly ask ourselves, are we choosing higher? Are we choosing higher, or are we choosing the lower in the available time and your situation in life? So that is something that we have to keep in mind. So once there was a sabha, once there was a meeting, a sannyasi was invited for that meeting. Everybody were on the stage, and now on the stage they're introducing this Mahatma. So they said, the organizer started praising this Swami, this sannyasi. Oh, he's so great. His giving up is so great. He sacrificed his entire wealth, his career, everything to dedicate for this ashram, for this knowledge, this and that. So his sacrifice is so great. His giving up is so worthy. This and that, everything they praised. So now this Mahatma was to speak, give a lecture. So he said, first of all, I'm going to do pranams to all of you who have gathered. You know, my dispassion, my vairagya, my giving up is nothing. In fact, I have only given up finite things for the sake of infinite, in order to seek the infinite, your tyaga, your giving up, your vairagya is so great because you all seem to have given up the infinite for the sake of finite. So whose giving up is greater? Yours, because you have given up the infinite for the sake of finite. So Vedantin must always remember, where is our commitment? Is our commitment towards the finite, or is my commitment towards the infinite? Swami TV used to give this example. Suppose you are going to the airport, that is your priority. What is your priority? Is catching the flight. But meanwhile, you might have started from home and you have time to do couple of errands. You may stop somewhere, finish that errand, go further for a cup of coffee, but do you stay there? Do you stay there? How does it look that you wanted to grab a coffee, but then you decided, oh, the food is so good in this particular restaurant or coffee shop that let me take a few more things, and then let me order something, and the host there says it will take 35 minutes. Then you say, it's fine, let me enjoy this. And then if you keep on doing that, you're going to miss the flight. So we may do a few things in this journey, but never lose sight of the destination. Never lose sight of infinite. Never lose sight of infinity in this whole scheme of things. That is developing para-bhakti. That is developing atmecha. That is, every day one must put effort in this cultivation. It doesn't come easily. It doesn't come one day. Why? Because 40 years, 50 years, 60 years of vasanas are sitting in the head, which is constantly pulling us towards the finite. And we must, that's why Acharya uses a very beautiful word in Sadhana Panchakam, vyavasiyatam. May you cultivate. In the context of agriculture and farming, what does the word cultivate mean? So you got to cultivate this plant, this seedling. Cultivation there means you have to give enough sunlight, enough water. Where there are weeds, you have to de-weed it. You have to tend to that growing plant. Only if you cultivate, then alone it gives phala, it gives the fruit or the result. So this pursuit requires constant cultivation. Constant cultivation. In fact, we have so many saints in our Sanatana Dharma who gave us so many beautiful poems, so many beautiful insights where they were constantly yearning in order to have this union with infinite. If you superficially look at these saints, it may look that they are just wanting a union with a form of Lord, a form of Bhagavan. It's not so. For these are great wise people. It could be Alvars, it could be Meera, it could be Kabir, it could be any other bhakti saint. In fact, these are realized Mahatmas, realized souls who put that yearning for the infinite, who put that yearning for infinite in finite poetic terms. And then when you decode their poetry, in fact, what you'll find is infinity itself, in and through all those poems of Meera, Kabir, or even Saint Nanak, and many other bhakti, Tukaram, or any other saint. So I come back to the topic that we started. One needs to cultivate the love for self. Love for self. How do I do that? one must constantly use the compass of Viveka, the tool of Viveka, in order to observe our daily life, day-to-day life. In and through all my pursuits, what I am seeking is completeness. The seeking finite objects seems to put an end to my incompleteness for time being. For time being. For time being alone, you seem complete when you are in touch with that object or person. But alas, however valuable the person could be, however valuable the thing could be, you cannot forever stay with it. You cannot forever be in touch with it. Try that. Can you do that? Can you do that? That's why in COVID time people got bored of their own spouses. Got bored of their own family. In fact, got bored of their own homes. Oh my God, they left continents to make a home, and yet they got bored of their own household. Now I wanted to go out. I want to go see other things. I want to meet other people. What I worked my whole lifetime, 20 years of hard work, yet I'm bored in that same place. 40 years or some people, whatever, put so much effort to marry a person, now I'm getting bored with that very person. That's how transient world is. That's how finite is. That's how Vyavaharika Jagat is. That the reality is you cannot possess anything. You cannot really possess anything, however you wish, how much ever you try, you just cannot possess another person or a thing forever. The illusion here is, for some time, the object or person seems to be with you. So I assume this to be permanency. I take temporariness for permanency. Acharya Shankara in Brahma Sutra, for this behavior, he says, atasmin tad buddhihi. Atasmin tad buddhihi. There is the nature of something is different, but you assume it to be something else. In temporary, you are seeing permanent. You are seeing permanent. So in transient world, you think that some objects and people are going to stay with you forever. Always remember, whenever you buy so many things, it will always have fragile label on it. So put that label on every damn thing and every damn person and every damn relationship, then you will really understand the reality of the world, reality of Jagat. So when I used to travel a few years back, I think it was post-COVID. So whenever I used to check in my baggage, I used to tell, could you put fragile sticker on my luggage? Could you please put fragile sticker on my luggage? I used to do that in order to protect the suitcase or the luggage. But then I give that example so that you have to keep putting that fragile sticker on everything, so that you know the reality of the world. Reality of the world. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing stays forever. If this is clear in a seeker, then the whole attention, the whole path opens up for this person in order to seek the infinite. To seek the infinite. And seeking that infinite is real bhakti. Is real bhakti. In our sampradaya, two great sages, Narada Maharshi and Shandilya Maharshi, they have given beautiful sutras on bhakti. So sage Narada has given Narada Bhakti Sutra. Sage Shandilya has given Shandilya Bhakti Sutra. Narada Bhakti Sutra focus sometimes is more on the aspect of devotion as we know it, as it manifests in our religious life. Shandilya Bhakti Sutra, many philosophical insights are richer, or rather more prominent or focused in Shandilya Bhakti Sutra. These Bhakti Sutras can be a guide for us to discover this true love. What is that true love? The true love is really love for the infinite self, for Atma. That alone is love. So all our effort must go in order to discover this love. Otherwise, we waste a lifetime just in mere activity. An activity doesn't mean progress. There could be a lot of activity, but then there is no real progress. Saint Tyagaraja has pointed out, even in terms of religious bhakti, not to have so many activities where you get lost without even being focused on what is the real goal. So in next few talks, our focus will be there on this discovering para bhakti, love for infinite self. In fact, if you look at your own experiences, you are the subject, you are the person. Here, you go here and there in order to have a communion with a certain object. A person goes to an exotic location. People near Poconos probably goes near Andes or to other country in Switzerland to see the Alps. And then elsewhere the person comes here to see the Poconos. But observe your experience. Once you have a sight of some exalted object, something like Himalayas, a grand mountain in front of you, what happens at that point of time? Here is the subject. I was elsewhere. I was in Boston. I was in Birmingham, wherever this person was. Now this person wants to have a sight of the Himalayas. The person traveled thousands of miles in order to have union with that object. How is this union? Can you grab the Himalayas through your hands? No, you can't. But you can definitely have a union with the Himalayas through your sight. You have a union. You look at that object. For some moments, all your desires, all your questions about it, all your effort, the planned itinerary forward, the schedule, the flights, the bookings which are there for the activities for the next day, next hour, next evening, all of them just drop. For few quiet moments, there is neither this subject, this person, who had a desire to see the Himalaya, neither there is this desire, nor the person who desired, nor even the object of desire. The object of desire is right in front of you, but yet something has happened within that you are just there. You are just there for a few quiet moments. Everything seems to have dropped. Everything seems to have settled. All my problems of the family, all of them are still there. All my regret, all my guilt, hurt, financial obligations, all of that are there. But for few quiet moments, everything is as if dropped. A person who stands in front of the mirror has so many complexes, saying that my hair is graying, this body is putting on a few more pounds, there is a spot on the skin, that hair is gone, this patch is lost. So many complexes are there when you stand in front of the mirror. For the time being, when you are standing in front of this exalted object, Himalayas, all of it has dropped. Your self-identity that I am this person, born to so and so, belonging to certain religion, affiliated with this organization, whatever is the designation, all of them are dropped for few quiet moments. And then the Himalayas are there. Even the details of it is as if not registering in your mind. You just have few quiet moment. Everything has as if dissolved. This finite person who traveled thousands of miles, this finiteness which was there, this incompleteness which was there in the heart, has all dissolved for few quiet moments, and there is absolute peace, calm for a few moments. Why is it? Why is that? Have you ever questioned? It's because now the subject and the object have become as perfect union with each other. So the duality of subject and object has dropped. What is there at that quiet moment? What is there is Advaita. Advaita, there's no duality there. So wherever there is no subject-object duality, there is no place for incompleteness. There's no place for incompleteness. All of it has dropped for a few moments. But the mind is a peculiar instrument, as I told you earlier. What does the mind do after experiencing this sacred quietude for a few moments? The mind takes the cell phone, wants to capture the Himalayas. Now you say, oh, the lighting is not perfect. Then you say, just that is not enough for you. Now that just capturing that object is not enough for you. You want to capture the subject also in it. You try a selfie. Then all the complexes about this person, the head is fat, hair is gone. Swamis have no trouble, no? No complex. 365 days, same haircut. So you want to capture the subject and the object also. Now all the complexes, all the things in the head just come back at once. The duality is back because this Advaita that you saw was not backed by understanding. This Advaita that you experienced did not have any foundation based on understanding, jnanam. It was that sacred insight at that moment. It came, the person is the same, and the person had this profound moment with the Himalayas, and then there is no infrastructure to interpret what is there, what one felt, what one experienced. It also becomes another passing experience which came at T0 and it was there till T5 and it vanished. Thus, it's very important for us to recognize that what we are seeking in Parabhakti is total dissolution of subject and also the object. Thus, only when there is this understanding of non-duality or oneness, Advaita, there alone absolute peace, quietude, freedom can be there. So today, for your contemplation, hold on to this imagery or the example of you looking at the Himalayas or any other mountain that you have been for your own analysis. For your own analysis. Keep on dwelling on how did the subject drop? How did the object drop at that moment? What was my? What is it that I experienced? What is it that I felt? What is the dynamics of all of it? Then you have dwelled more into Jnana Marga, more into this inquiry. In fact, the whole of Vedanta is this inquiry. Athatho Brahma Jignasa. This is a sacred inquiry. This is the path and this is the destination. The path and the destination are one and the same. They are not dual, they are not different. So, why every being, every object, every animal seems to be seeking love is because in communion with that object of love, object of desire, one has the suspension, temporary suspension of all the complexes, all the conclusions, all the problems of one's own life. So these moments gives us release from all these complexes. Thus, everyone is constantly seeking love. But then, such kind of seeking is temporary. Such kind of seeking is eternal. You don't want to be an eternal seeker, there's no joy in it. It is like saying, I like to be an eternal patient. So what is the joy in it? What's the joy in it? There's no joy. Only pharma companies are benefited as long as you're patient. So in their marketing logic, a patient cured is a customer lost. But in Vedanta doesn't operate like that. A seeker cured or seeker who realizes one's own being, one's own self, is a shobha, is a celebration to the system, is a celebration of the Shastra, it's the celebration of Guru Shishya Parampara. There is no loss in here. So, I conclude by saying, with these foundations, foundational concepts that I have laid out in today's class, that may our inner compass be dedicated towards seeking what is infinite, and then this path of love is putting all our effort, all our energy, like we put for anything else that we love, in diverting this emotion, this energy of love that we have into our object. What is our object is our own self. Diverting all these energies towards Atma, to cultivating Atma Ichcha in order to know oneself, and then always being contemplative about where is my love dedicated to? Is it towards the finite or is it towards the infinite? Thus, we first, at the beginning of this inquiry, we mark ourselves or we position ourselves towards Parabhakti. The path that we want to walk on is Parabhakti. So, we'll discuss more. Otherwise, profound experiences happen in life and we just miss it and we just keep on going. I'll end with one of the stories that Pujya Swamiji used to tell. So, a certain yoga guru had this ability to go into the samadhi. So, he called his shishya and said, "Hey, I want a cup of coffee." So the Shishya said, "Okay, I will go bring a cup of coffee to you." And then, meanwhile, by the time the Shishya came, this Guru has gone into Samadhi. Now, the Shishya comes and then sees that the Guru has gone into Samadhi. Now, the Shishya, he's wondering what to do with the coffee. So Shishya thought it's a good idea to just drink it up. The Shishya consumed this very nice cup of coffee, which was carefully prepared for the Guru. And then now the Guru Maharaj was in Samadhi, and the Guru opens his eyes and comes out of the Samadhi and looks that the Shishya is not there. And then he says, "Hey Shishya." And then Shishya comes. He asks, "Where is the coffee?" The story ends there. What's the learning from the story? The first thought, how the whole thing started with the thought of coffee. Okay? What was the last thought before going into Samadhi? Guru Maharaj said coffee and went to Samadhi. That was the last thought, was coffee. And the Samadhi happened. You came out of the Samadhi. What is the first thought after Samadhi? Coffee. So, no amount of profound experiences, no amount of experiences is going to kill this fundamental incompleteness and desire for finite if you do not have backing of knowledge in the path of devotion, in the path of love, in whatever you are seeking. So you see Himalayas, for few moments there is profoundness, and after that experience, then you ask, what next? What is in our itinerary? Where are we going? You go take the darshan of Tirupati Balaji, you put so much effort and you saw Balaji, and then you say, okay, now where do I buy the laddu? So the mind moves from any profound experience, again it drops to finite. You have to be careful about it. We'll stop at that and continue our discussion further in the evening class. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. We can